So once you log in, something like this comes across, right? Yeah. On your left, you could see something called as repositories, which means that something that you've created. And if you look at it, I would have created for every single project of mine would particularly have a repository, right? So I have basically 40 repositories or so. So that kind of calls it. I mean, if you can just have a look at it, right? What are all the analysis and what sort of work that I've done and what it says, what it does. There are a lot of things here. Here is basically like a description, right? And people can actually look at your codes and they can copy the codes to their repository, which means that let's say tomorrow I'm someone who has created. So repository basically means imagine like a work folder, right? A shareable work folder which is online. So let me show you one of it, right? So maybe that makes more sense. So what I could do is I could basically go to this house price prediction, right? And I can basically see that I basically have an IPYNB file, which is a Jupyter notebook file. I have a CSV file and a README file, right? So usually you'll get all these three files which are present, and you can just uh, edit something on the README and it should come in. So for example, if I go about it and I can basically edit out something, and here's the good thing about GitHub, right? Uh, you know, it will actually come out and basically tell me what are all the changes that were created, right? So I can write something like outdated, or I can write something like you know instead of GBR, I can write gradient boosting regressor, right? Let's write it that way, right? A repository is nothing but a folder that's actually present in your kit. That means your project folder. Think about it like that. And I can basically commit the change and I can say that, uh, extended GBR terminology. The reason why I can do that, you want me to zoom the screen? Is this fine right now? Right. So I just say extended GBR terminology and I can commit the change here. And what happens when I commit the change? It actually shows in, right, gradient boosting regressor. And here's the fun part about GitHub. If I go back to the history, it will tell me what are all the changes that I created or what I did, right? So you could see that previously in this repository, I created a change on June 20th, 2017 on the README. And now, August 22nd, 2020, I just extended the GBR terminology, right? And the fun part is that every time I click this, I would basically know what were the changes that I created. So for example, this line of code, predicting house price using linear regression and GBR, was removed, and instead all these lines were added, right? Or let me do one thing. Let me show you something that we created right now, right? Extended GBR terminology, right? So minus, which part did I remove? I removed only GBR. I added gradient boosting regressor to line 2. So can you see like the updation actually happening here? And I can basically track my changes to the project that I created. Yeah, I mean users or basically the group. So it also helps in collaboration. So I'll actually come to that, right? So user or the group, and we'll talk about what that means.